ever since it came out with the stuff with Janelle Grant and the lawsuit that she's going to be filing against Vince McMahon, WWE, John Laurinaitis. If you're a wrestling fan and you've been following this, you know all the horrific details that's in that. Just it's shocking. You've had all the other stuff that's followed since. Vince stood down as the executive chairman of WWE, or what's now known as the parent company, TKO Group Holdings. Just before that, Rock became a board member of TKO. But a couple of weeks before that, I believe it was Kevin Dunn. He officially left WWE. That was surprising to a lot of people. I think a lot of people thought that Kevin Dunn was going to be a lifer. But it was years before this, there was all this talk that the WWE was going to be sold, and a lot of people said that maybe it was going to be sold to Disney. There was all even the stuff when it came out initially in 2022 that Vince was maybe, it looked like it was initially was going to sell, he was going to be selling WWE to the Saudis. I want to react to this clip here. This is an audio clip from Keepin It 100, the podcast that Disco Inferno and Conan do. And Nick Aldis was on here, and this is back in January 2022. And Nick Aldis talks about the stuff. What was going on at the time was that Triple H was losing a lot of power. He had the problems, he had the health issues. That was, I believe he had a cardiac arrest. But then when all that's going on, all of a sudden all these Triple H allies are being let go. William Regal was let go. Road Dogg was let go. A lot of people that were associated and known as, I guess you could say friends, acquaintances of Triple H, they were all being let go from WWE. And then you had Vince and then Bruce Pritchard overseeing NXT, which was known as their developmental territory, I guess you'd call it. Whereas before that, I guess it was like Triple H's quote unquote baby. But at this point here, Nick Aldis, I must give this guy credit because he must have some really good foresight, or he really did know, have an idea at least what was going to happen, what was going to transpire. This definitely listen to this, because I feel like almost like Nick Aldis predicted, almost wasn't far off predicting what has now come to pass. So with this here, I will pause at certain points and give my take on this. But listen to this. With Nick Aldis, and especially now with Nick Aldis now as an on-screen figure on WWE. He's in WWE. He's an authority figure, for the SmackDown show. But check this out, guys, and see what you think of this. So,
I usually err on the side of, okay, let's not jump to conclusions. Sometimes you try to see the worst in something, and obviously the dirt sheet culture is very quick to, see the worst and see the nefarious part of any action before giving it proper context. I've done my best to err on that side of things while I've been witnessing this. But at this point, is it not, just glaring obvious?
It's so obvious that they've had
something has happened where, his influence and regime, or whatever you want to call it, is being systematically dismantled.
I'll tell you exactly what it is. And I don't know, I can't prove because we don't know, but this just looks, if you look at what's happening, there has had to been a private heated conversation between those two where where Triple H told Vince, bro, you have no clue what you're doing.
Do you think that's
absolutely? This is what an egomaniac would do if somebody challenged him like that.
That's an interesting point there that Disco Inferno made. Maybe this is something like this happened. Triple H just was fed up at a certain point with Vince with some of his ideas that he didn't think were good at all, that he thought sucked, and there was a bit of a heated argument there. Maybe that did happen. I feel, though, I don't know. I had a different take on this because I felt, I was more thinking like Vince was starting to maybe suss out what Triple H was all about. It took him all this time, but finally we started to suss out that Triple H is about control and power. So what do? You take away a lot of the people who are known as Triple H allies, who are always going to do his bidding, his dirty work, remove them from the equation, and no longer you have so much, he'll have all his power. I thought it was kind of more like a power game, but it's such a weird messed up thing with this, because you know, with Triple H being the son-in-law, and it was that even weird storyline power dynamic that was what the storyline was all about, you know, in 1999, you know. And then there was the whole stuff and all that weird controversial stuff about Triple H drugging Steph, and that's how he married her, which that would never be allowed today. But it was almost like, to me anyway, at that time, I felt it was almost like a life imitating art kind of thing with the power dynamic, the power struggle. That's just me though. But
I have a different feeling on it. Maybe because I've, you know, a little closer, or at least have had direct experience with at least one of the people who I think is very heavily involved in this. I think that it's one person or two, to be more specific, who spend a lot of time with the boss, spend a lot of time feeding him, you know, bits of information and convincing him that things are working and things are not working, and here's why, and
yes, man,
and so on and so forth. Because look, the time is coming. You know, one way or another, something major is happening, right? I just bought
the hand of the king knows what's up.
I just bought, yeah.
And the hand of the king is looking at his enemy or his.
Well, there are two hands. There are two hands of the king.
There are two hands.
The two hands of the king.
And I think, well, actually, three, if you count Nick Khan.
Right.
Oh, I was thinking Nick Khan, yeah.
Well, we're talking about Bruce and Johnny. Let's just.
And Johnny, okay.
Right, yeah, Bruce.
Right.
Now, this is the thing. Nick Khan is a major player in this, and it's crazy when you think about it. Right, Nick Khan came in around mid-late 2020, and then not even 2 years later, all that stuff comes out about Vince McMahon and the women and the whole thing about having their affair relationship and being passed around like a toy to John Laurinaitis. So I just wonder, is Nick Khan, does he know more than he's letting on? And was Nick Khan, was this all done by design? He was brought in, he was kind of like, I don't know, you'd say like a mole in the company, but like that, you know, he could be somebody, one of the main players that's behind all this stuff, all this stuff that came out that, you know, I believe the Wall Street Journal was the first big publication to expose. So I'm not sure about this guy, Nick Khan. I don't know, but
Sorry, Nick, yeah.
All right. Something is happening. I have there's been a couple of theories, but I tell you what, I have one that a seed was planted from a friend of mine who works there, who threw it out to me in a conversation, and I sort of went, holy that's wild, but it's just so crazy that it might be true. You want to hear it?
Yes, absolutely.
Hughes, you'll have a field day with this. All right. I was unaware up until I saw it on Instagram that Rock and Nick Khan are friends.
Grew up together.
I remember seeing that and just being like, what? Like, that's so random.
It's like, this guy's got his fingers in everything. He was Colin Coward's agent. He was like, you know, this guy's got like so many like things. Yeah, right. It's like got all these connections. Like who?
This network is unbelievable. But the Rock part was the more fascinating part to me, because I suddenly go, Dwayne Johnson is part of a conglomerate who have purchased the XFL.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Khan, is, apparent childhood friend, is now basically running the commercial aspect of WWE. Who hates Triple H more than anybody you know?
Hunter?
Rock.
Dwayne Johnson. Rock hates him.
Really?
It's very well documented.
So there you go. I mean, again, two years ago, right? And he's talking here about The Rock, that, you know, childhood friend Nick Khan, bringing up how, you know what, you know, The Rock probably still does dislike Triple H. I mean, hate is a strong word. Maybe he does hate him. I don't know. And there could be a lot more going on here. It's very much, a power game, and probably The Rock would ideally want to get rid of Triple H. That, I mean, I wouldn't put it. That would not surprise me. You know, nothing much shocks me in this world anymore. But
I wasn't there,
So
obviously.
their angles, they were having like a lot of creative differences behind the scenes.
I don't know about that. I think they. I mean, look, I'm not. I can't comment on that. I wasn't there, obviously.
Well, what's the story? Because maybe I missed this because I wasn't paying attention to wrestling. Because if it's so well known, why did I know this?
Supposedly, Sean and Hunter were really hard on Rock when he was coming in.
Very hard on him.
Yeah.
That's why one of the reasons why Rock has always shown huge props to Bret Hart, because Bret was the top guy there, and Bret kind of helped, protect him a little bit.
And he's refused to work with Sean, always.
He's never worked with Sean. Now, who else have we seen Dwayne Johnson palling around with as of late? Jeff Bezos.
Well,
do you suppose that there is a possible combination of Dwayne Johnson, Nick Khan, and Jeff Bezos that could, in the foreseeable future, some way, shape, or form, be involved in the new post-McMahon WWE?
Post-McMahon.
Because if Vince Russo thinks that he thinks it's a done deal. That
actually, I'm interested. What does Vince think?
So, I mean, post-McMahon regime, and I know there was all that stories before that about WWE selling to Disney and that, but I think that most wrestling people were still of the mindset of that McMahon was going to be there forever. Vince McMahon would be there forever. He would probably pass out and die at the gorilla position with a headset on. So I don't know. I mean, but this thing about the post-McMahon regime, like maybe does Nick Aldis, did he know something? Did he have people in the know there? And I mean, did he know even that it was going to be coming up to this soon, and that he would be good? He would come in, have a job. I don't know. But the interesting thing was, I mean, he wasn't quite on the money there about the thing about Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Funnily enough, it was the main competitor that Amazon have when it comes to the streaming prime, Netflix. WWE get Netflix. But there was probably all these different people interested, buyers. I mean, you had the Saudis. It looked like at one point Vince was going to sell WWE to the Saudis, but there was a huge, big backlash there. No one wanted that. But the thing is, I mean, this is just the thing. Rock's gonna connect with these big billionaires, and because he's a very powerful guy. They're very powerful guys. But the thing is, when Dwayne Johnson walks into a room and he speaks to Jeff Bezos, and, Jeff Bezos is hanging on Rock's every word. That's power. Rock's going to use his power. He's not a bad guy for using his power. He's not intentionally doing it to fuck anybody over in politic and backstab. But, he's got this power, and, on the board of TKO, and he's getting, 30 million just to be a board member in TKO. God bless him.
I haven't spoke to Vince in a long time.
Done deal. The TV deals with Fox and NBC Universal are finished, and that the next deal is with a streaming service. And okay. Amazon is Prime.
Netflix, Raw.
Is probably all the arrows are pointing at Amazon.
Think about the Amazon business model, right?
Yeah.
What existing infrastructure would be more integration back all the way back? You watch these classic things. Hogan slamming Andre, click, I want that Hulkamania shirt. Boom, I'll make you one.
Well, then let's go one step further. This is so simplistic now, if you think about it. Who's one guy that can afford whatever the top market price bears for that company?
Right.
And who would be willing to pay it? And it's Jeff Bezos.
And there is absolutely no pressure on him to make a fast return. It's
right.
There's look, and
they want the content. They want the content that the networks have, and they're willing to pay more. Yes.
When you think about what the major revenue streams of WWE, or the content itself and the merchandising.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's fascinating, but the part of it that gets me thinking that maybe it is a little bit more than me just thinking out loud. Is this stuff, and I agree with Russo, but not in the same way. I think it's a done deal already as well. I think whatever's going to happen has already been agreed in principle. Probably in a couple of big studded leather chairs over a cigar and a glass of scotch.
Emmanuel.
It's already been described, and a lot of these changes they want to happen under the current regime, so that then when the new regime takes over, it looks like, hey, a brand new day. We're the
You say brand new day. We're the
guys.
We're the good guys. Yeah. And I suppose that's kind of the way it's come off like this, right? With the whole thing, the TKO, Ari Emanuel, Dwayne Johnson, Nick Khan coming in and, you know, doing the big thing on the stock exchange. And that was like a day or two before it came out about the whole stuff with Janelle Grant and the whole, you know, this lawsuit and all the sex trafficking. So I can see it was a very interesting take, and considering it was 2 years ago. And the stuff there about Amazon, Jeff Bezos, interesting. Didn't quite turn out that way, but then you've got with Raw and Netflix. So they were not far off there with that when Nick Aldis had his prediction. So, you know, Nick, he might have known something, people in the company, people he was connected to, that maybe there was going to be a spot for him as time went on. I mean, he always seemed to say that there was someone there preventing him coming in. I don't know who that was in the company, WWE. I mean, his wife used to have a thing with John Cena. I don't know if Cena had any pool there with that. But yeah, so I mean, it's just crazy, all the stuff that's been going on right now with WWE and all the stuff there. End of an era. It's no longer Vince McMahon's WWE. It's just crazy. But a lot of people, yeah, it was that kind of thing of we're the good guys now. Adam Manuel, The Rock's in, you know, white hats. But I don't know, man. I'm a little unsure about this, and I think there's much more to this than meets the eye. And then Nick Khan, I don't know. I mean, Nick Khan, Vince brings him in, and then 2 years later, Nick Khan's there, but Vince, it all comes out about the, you know, the affair, and maybe they did have dirt on him. I don't know. I mean, I had a theory that maybe it was Triple H that had the dirt on Vince, and he got all that stuff leaked to the Wall Street Journal, and that they had a falling out, Vince and Triple H, and that's when Vince started to react and let go of the allies, Triple H allies, people like William Regal, Road Dogg, and there was a few others there, I can't all remember their names, and then maybe Triple H always knew this stuff about Vince, had the dirt on him, knew what was going on, and then he put that out there. I don't know. But I was actually reading through the document earlier. It's a bloody 67-page document. It's quite a lot and some pretty disturbing shit in there, man, with Vince. But Vince was really worried because this was the one that really set Linda over the edge, that she wanted to divorce him, you know. But what about all the other women before that? What about whatever that was it, 14, 15, 60 million he paid off other women to keep quiet? And there's the allegations there with Rita Chatterton and all this. But it was all of a sudden that woman, Janelle Grant, that was enough. That Linda snapped at that point. So I don't know. Maybe this was much more disturbing and stuff, and it was just more me more controlling, coercive. I don't know. But it's very weird. It keeps going on, the story, the wrestling drama. And I don't know, it's, you know, more could come out at WrestleMania about this stuff with the story. But then you've got John Laurinaitis now. He's kind of seems to be throwing Vince under the bus and saying that Vince coerced him into doing this stuff. Maybe that is somewhat true, but again, he's a grown man, capable of making his own decisions. No one put a gun to his head to be in that company. He could have got work elsewhere doing something else, but we just have to wait and see how all this turns out. You know, Brock Lesnar, what will happen with him in that. Will be more information on that. But yeah, I mean, check out the video I did yesterday about Triple H. He could possibly have his own NDAs as well. There's a potential story there maybe with Caitlyn, the former WWE diva, and there was something also there about the guy Ben Hameen that's on Russo's show saying that maybe Triple H has a few more NDAs, and then also a story about there with John Cena and Alex Riley. So, you know, I don't know. There's going to be more of this juicy details, gossip to come on this, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But could they get rid of Triple H, TKO? Maybe they will. They could get rid of Triple H. They could get rid of Shawn. But I mean, if Triple H has got dirt on him, and maybe Shawn Michaels too, then they could find a reason to get rid of him. But just that's my thoughts on that video, guys. Just quite interesting that Nick Aldis at that time 2 years ago, he was kind of spot on with this stuff. talking about the regime change. It was like, did he know something was coming down the line? And he might have known, had an idea. And the stuff obviously with The Rock. I mean, I get the whole thing with The Rock, because The Rock, he bought XFL from Vince. There was the stuff, Vince started it just a year before COVID. COVID hit, and boom, that fucked it up again. Second time round, that fucked up. The XFL was fucked. I mean, I thought it was dead. I mean, most people would say it was just it was a dead end, really. But there you go. There's my thoughts on that stuff, guys. Let me know what you think. Hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. But that's me for now. So thanks a lot, guys. Cheers. See ya.